Today is a dark, dark day in the L Word fandom because Jennifer Beals is officially leaving the L Word at the end of season 3. So I want to talk about everything, who, what, when, where, why, feelings, what's going on, and what happened. So let's get right into it. So the big points are Jennifer Beals is leaving at the end of the season. Laurel holloman obviously won't be there if Jennifer Beals isn't, and she's not going to be in any of the next 6 episodes. She's in episodes 9 and 10. I do know that there's going to be a phone call with Bette Tina apparently in one of these episodes, but that could have been removed from the final edit because that was told to me like about 4 months ago. So they haven't even finished editing that episode when they told me, so it might not be in it, but that's what I heard. So for a few weeks I've been saying that the reason we're getting this Bette and Tina reunion is because of Jennifer Beals, and that fact is no plainer to see than today, because this is how Jennifer Beals got the ending. Get in! She played her last card, forced their hand, whatever way you want to say it, but she said, I'm going to leave the show, and basically the only thing they could do was do this rushed 2-episode ending. I think that Jennifer pushed for this storyline. 1,000,000,000%. She even said at the San Francisco thing, this is what she always wanted. And I think in a way, by her saying, well, I'm going to go at the end of the year, this is again my opinion, that it kind of forced the hand of Showtime, the writers, whatever you want to say. And because what are they going to do? That's going to leave at the end of season 3, and then they're going to be like, what was all this for? Thankfully, most of the Bette and Tina scenes, it seems Jennifer Beals and Laurel holloman had a real heavy hand in the scenes just as an entity. So I'll link the interview with them down below if you want to read it. And I am just super, super appreciative of the fact that she basically is making this sacrifice for us, for the fans that wanted to see this, because I'm sure she doesn't enjoy giving up a job. And she also was an executive producer and everything like that. And I also said a few weeks ago that the party line from Showtime would be, it's to tell new stories and for her to do other work. And it's like, keep the stories. We don't want any new stories. We want these stories. Of course they're going to say that because they can't say that what's really going on, can they? No, of course not. I think the main issues with Gen Q could be kind of summed up by insecurity. And when I say like the Gen Q people, I mean writers, producers, running the show, whatever, Showtime, all of them, that they had this insecurity towards the original show because the original show is so groundbreaking, so successful, and they had these living, breathing remnants of the original show walking around, and that's what people wanted to see. Hi, Editing Ash here, just to add in one quick thing. When I say about the resentment thing, I think that has to do with basically the OG cast was there, and obviously so many people are connected to that, and I feel as though they felt that with the audience. They felt us wanting constantly the OG and like Bette and Tina and Alice and Shane, and in a way they took out that frustration on the audience. And maybe I'm thinking way too much into this, but it's just the fact that like they kept Bette and Tina apart, and then Alice and Shane like really didn't have much to do or much going on, and certainly nothing interesting. And they have taken all the Gen Q characters and just really kind of forced them in, and then when they didn't work or people weren't connected with them, they still kept putting them in, and to such abundance too. It became like this standoff between the people making Gen Q and the audience, because they were kind of like, I mean, this is really dramatic, but keeping us hostage in the way that they gave us like just enough, like they gave us just enough Bette and Tina to like have like a shred of hope. And then with Alice and Shane, like they gave us just enough that they were on the show or like, you know, in every episode, but we didn't really get like any sustenance with them. So I mean, that's why I've always been like plugging away at saying like it'll happen, because I believed in Jennifer and Laurel, but it's really frustrating. And I don't know how you can't see it. And I have to think it is intentional, because there's no way you cannot know through social media and basically any time a fan says anything that they're very clear with what they want. So when you go on social media, it's all you ever see is people talking about Bette, Tina, Alice, Shane, and yes, now Danny and Gigi, but they've already fucked that up. So you can't put one of the Gen Q characters in a comparison against any of the OGs. I mean, come on. So you have Bette, Alice, Tina, and Shane. Okay, well, they've moved Bette and Tina at snail's pace because they know that people want them together and that drives people crazy. And Shane and Alice, I mean, what have their storylines been on Gen Q? That's the issue. They were insecure around those 4 OGs. So they didn't want to give them like too much to do or anything, because people would, I don't know, like it and get excited, because I feel like there was like a resentment sometimes towards the audience, because most of the audience, even people who found Gen Q first but loved the OG too, there was like a resentment there of, oh, you just want to see like Bette and Tina and Alice and Shane. And it's like, yeah, so why wouldn't you give that to us? Because even though it's a reboot, like it still would have been popular because people would have been watching for that. And the reason I know that like I'm right about this is because I can see it in my own analytics. And I'm not saying that I'm like the authority on the L Word, but I have an L Word channel, so there's a lot of L Word fans here. I'm going to put an example up here of an ordinary retention graph for a show, and then a retention graph of an L Word recent episode. All those drops are people skipping over the Gen Q stuff, and all the pickups are Bette and Tina. So why is a one-woman show that's run from a spare bedroom with a cat able to see this, and people at a multi-million-dollar network aren't? That's the question that I have, because they will be seeing this too. And the equivalent of getting this show, like being a writer, producer, whatever, is the equivalent to winning the lesbian lottery. Because no matter what, if you're bringing back Bette, Tina, Alice, and Shane, people are going to watch. But it matters what you do with them and what you do with the rest of that time. So in my opinion, what should have happened is they should have got, maybe not everyone to do with Gen Q, but they should have sprinkled in some people who were really passionate OG fans to serve as some sort of consultants for one, keeping the storylines on thread with, you know, there's so many things that are like do not make sense at all. And I mean that a lot of that's what I make my videos about, is pointing out the OG stuff or bits that are confusing. And if they had someone doing that, they also could then pick up storylines from the original and put them into Gen Q so that they made sense. Things like, from the original, we didn't really know anything about Tina, so why not give her a little bit of a backstory? That's the sort of thing you should be listening to and putting into your show, instead of these like storylines that went nowhere and did nothing for anyone. Like, think about the last season, like even all that stuff with like poker, it went nowhere. All the stuff with like Micah working in therapy went nowhere. All of that, I can't think of anything outside of Bette and Tina and Danny and Gigi, and like, I like seeing Alice and Shane obviously, but their storylines are crap. That's it. And I talk about the L Word like 19 hours a day, and there's nothing for me to say about really anyone's storyline. And the last episode, the only time people got frustrated or skipped forward was basically when it cut away from the OGs. That scene in the last episode with the 4 OGs, it's a fucking crime that that's the only one we have like that. Why, oh why, were they not doing that for the seasons before? I know I'm getting really off track here with the Jennifer Beals stuff, but it's just so frustrating, because people love and are so passionate about like the Bette and Tina stuff and the OGs, and just even love the characters of Bette Porter and Tina Kennard. I just think about what a waste it was over these years, because we didn't even have like the OGs in a scene together till episode 9 last season, and it has to be this like insecurity to the OG that was causing all these barriers, because otherwise it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So Jennifer Beals will never get the credit she's due for this, probably. I know a lot of people will recognize it, but it was the same thing with the original. I mean, people were awful to her when she took this role. People used to talk about how she was never going to have a career again and everything was going to be over for her, and she took on this role that turned out to be like career defining, groundbreaking. And I love that story where she talks about asking the universe for a great love story that she could tell, and boy did it deliver, because that Bette and Tina, I know not everyone feels this way, but I do, is the greatest love story in the lesbian community, like point blank period. And I'm just so fucking grateful that we got actors like Jennifer Beals and Laurel Holloman to play these characters. And because they cared so much, they were willing to walk away from the show and a good executive producer role to get the ending that not only they wanted, as Jennifer always says, like Tina was the love of Bette's life.
How would you like it to happen?
How would I like it to happen?
Well, I've always thought
never
she
was the love of her life. Like that's always, I always thought that. But I'm not going to presume to tell a writer what to write. Like I said to Marcia, write whatever makes you happy. Like she knew what I wanted.
But to deliver us not only the ending we want with them together, but the one thing that a lot of people would say was missing from the original. So I am eternally grateful. I can't really put it into words, but I mean, just even with the first L Word, I was 16 when the L Word came out, and I know I wouldn't be the person I am today without specifically Bette Porter, Bette and Tina. Like, I absolutely have loved them for 20 years, and Bette just, I don't know, I just have a feeling towards her and Bette and Tina like no other show, movie, whatever you want to say. It's the L Word, it's Bette and Tina. It's that, to me, is just everything. And I absolutely am so grateful that we got this and that Jennifer and Laurel are delivering this ending. And also from another side of, I started my channel when Tina came back, because that's when Gen Q made me feel something. And I mean, you can go through my videos. It's easy to see what I have enjoyed about the show and what I haven't. And there have been a lot of points where I've tried to talk about other stuff too, because having this channel did allow me to get my voice to the showrunner and my voice to Showtime and people that were involved with the show. And I've been beating the Bette and Tina reunion drum since the very first day of my channel. So I'm just so grateful that I was able to have this channel because of them too. I think that it must have been incredibly hard too to go through this, because Jennifer Beals was very open at the San Francisco interview with Cara Swisher, saying, you know, she always said this is what she wanted from like the get-go with Gen Q. And she was biding her time maybe until she could force the hand of the writers, but I mean, she came through for us in the end. And the show, I mean, saying the show will suffer without her, that's like the understatement of the year. She is the show. She is the L Word. So you're taking out the L Word, what have you got left? Gen Q? Well, we had Danny and Gigi, but as I said, they fucked that up too. So what have we got left? I'm going to try and end with a positive, even though I know this is going to be like incredibly hard for people, and it sucks. Like, there's no other way to put it. It's extremely upsetting. I've known this was coming for a while, but when it's real, it's real, you know? And I just think that the show probably won't go on. Like, this will be the beginning of the end. And even if it isn't, if by some miracle they get a season 4, I probably wouldn't cover it. Certainly not in the same way. No way close to the way I cover it now, because the L Word is Bette Tina to me, and I would still do it if Danny and Gigi were around, but obviously that's not gonna happen either. Probably exit the video if you don't want to know absolutely anything about the end of the season, but they are coming back for the last 2 episodes. I know there was a lot of people who were saying, oh, we could have lived in like ignorance or whatever if we didn't know she was coming back. They would always have put out this press release. These press releases, they're not just going to have her walk off the show and not put out a press release. They always do. So, and they will always come on the Sunday when the episode actually airs, because technically we are seeing it early when it comes out on Friday. But the bottom line is that they're coming back for 9 and 10. And that's also why people were asking me a lot, like, why are Alicia and Kate directing like these 2 big episodes at the end? Because they wanted them to direct episodes that Jennifer and Laurel were in, so it makes sense. But those 2 episodes, I mean, I've heard phenomenal things. Knowing that it's going to be Bette and Tina's wedding, I mean, surely they can't fuck this up, can they? But it looks like it's going to be a great last 2 episodes. And with all of this being considered, I'm so glad I decided to go to LA for the final watch party to watch it among like all the other crazy Bette and Tina lesbians. So it's going to be amazing, but I'm really worried about the day after because I'm going to be so depressed. But all things considered, I have had this channel because of the L Word. I've been so lucky. And, you know, this channel is run by a very normal person in a spare bedroom with their cat. I am tiny and insignificant, but I have put so much of my time, energy, effort, blood, sweat, tears into this channel. And it's just sad to think about without the L Word, because it's such a huge part of my life, especially when the show is on. I'm not exaggerating when I say I talk about it 19 hours a day. So I'm sad. That's the only way I can put it. And I'm trying not to think about the what ifs, you know, because we could have had such great things. But anyway, make sure you're following me here on social media and subscribed. And I have a second channel too with some cool stuff that will be linked down below. As always, make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.